business.
Back from the break. Thank you for sticking around to Smart Means Business. Hope you're okay. Now, this segment that we're heading into is a bit of entertainment. It's serious entertainment with business in it. And I do have a gentleman who is giving you all that matters entertainment, Barija Andrew, who is already in here to give us more of what is making headlines from the world of entertainment. Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing?
Good morning, Joram. I'm actually doing very fine. I don't know. How is your morning taking you?
Very cold. Very cold.
Indeed, very cold.
It becomes really, really tough for someone to leave bed in a cold morning, trust me. It's a very hard one to take in the morning.
Exactly.
And for the business community, I think it's something, mainly those who are doing outdoor businesses, I think they can bear with us.
Definitely quite have been really much more effective.
So what do you have for us today in the entertainment?
Well, quite so remarkable and very interesting events that we're transpiring, and of course we're going to have a look into Disney appointing a new CEO, and guess what? The stock value increases. And of course, we shall review something, and of course, from the Kenyan artists saying that foreign artists should be regulated when they come to perform in the country of Kenya. All right, now we start with the Disney stock jump as Wall Street shares. Of course, the return of Bob Iger. They call it the magic. The magic predicts, you get that. So with these incidents, we see that the Disney stocks actually are rising as a result of the new CEO coming back in control of that movie company. And of course, Wall Street analysts and of course investors welcome back that's Bob Iger as the CEO. That's to the Walt Disney. And of course, after Sunday's surprise news that, of course, that he was returning into that conglomerate. Remember, Disney quite lots of companies. You'll be actually Marvel that. Marvel Entertainment is also part of Disney. So you can see it's quite a wide, big range of networks. So I want to understand something, and I want to challenge quite so many CEOs out there, and most especially those that are venturing into the entertainment, on how best you can actually value your investments. Imagine somebody comes back into control of a company, and analysts at the Wall Street are predicting a rise. Remember, some of these values of these stocks actually are valued basing on the events. Sometimes they're not the actual values, but they are predicted. And in that way, when the analysts predict a rise in the stocks, that means so many people are going to get and buy the Disney stocks, and that is going to increase revenue for the Disney company. But all comes back to Bob Iger, the new CEO, coming back on board to ensure that he gains control over this particular company. And of course, looking still further into this report, you see that Disney shares that's in pre-market trading on Monday were up. That's by 9.3%, and of course that's at about $100.29 per share. And of course, as of 7 a.m., that was still on that very day, the stock had hit a 52-week low of 86.28 earlier this month. So literally, ever since the CEO that has been taking over Disney before Bob Iger coming back, there has been a slight decline in the share prices of Disney. But remember, this was actually, they were hitting almost the last rates regarding that particular aspect. And of course, the stock hit hard. That's a 52-week low of 86.28. So imagine from 100, that's $100.29 back to 86.28 decline. So that was quite a very big decline. And of course, that was earlier this month. So as of Friday's market close, it had fallen about 40%. That's so far, and like 40%, and that is the deepest fall so far the Disney stocks had experienced this particular year. Now, of course, when he came back, the analysts were saying now the magic is back. Now imagine it's being given that name of the magic being back. And of course, Moffett Nathan, that's Nanson, that's the analyst, that's on the Wall Street, cheered the return of Iger and upgraded the rating from, that's of course, from market perform to outperform. So the analyst upgraded the market regarding, of course, Disney stock shares when he returned back. And of course, we see here that while raising his stock price target, that's by $20 to $120. So imagine, so if it was 80, and now there has been an increase, so no, 86 actually. Now it comes to 20. So you see, when we add up all that, it comes back to $120. And of course, he made a statement and said that we raised the valuation multiple to reflect our greater confidence in the company's trajectory that's under the leadership and the return of Bob Iger. And of course, he explained in a statement, according to the reports which was actually explained to the media regarding this matter. So what should we really anticipate when the new CEO comes into play? And definitely, we expect much more powerful content regarding, and of course, blockbuster movies. Let me say that I can't really hold it any longer to imagine. You remember back in the days when the Disney became what it became today because of Bob Iger, but later there was some little bit of transfer of leadership, you know, and of course there was been quite a slight change, though the content may not have really reduced the quality. But remember, in these countries, the United States of America, people are much more, they are so personal, they get so personal that regardless of really the output you put out there, if you don't have quite a great reputation to the public, they may not really value your product right there. So that is very important. So Bob Iger had really had built an empire. Disney became the Disney, you know, because of Bob Iger actually, though it's not the original founder, but during this kind of association came but now he's returning back. So we have Bob Iger 2 right now, if we can call it leadership, you know, some kind of so. So Nathan Nelson is the analyst at the Wall Street, the one who actually predicted the rise of the Disney stock, and noted that he said that they have never hidden their affection. That's for Mr. Iger and the job he did in building Disney into a global powerhouse, and that it had become. And of course, he explained over the many years Mr. Iger's decision making and trajectory and strategic positioning, making the strategic positioning which ignored the streets often incorrect short-term focus would actually ultimately separate Disney from the media pack. So literally, he's now back into the light regarding that. And of course, in addition, his communication skills and his ability to stay focused, and of course, an honestly optimistic that's in the face of structural challenges, provided a constant ballast that's in the roughest media waters. And of course, they believe that investors will value the transparency and return Disney some of its long lost magic. That's with a stronger narrative driving, of course, the stock higher again. So that is what is really taking place. And of course, with the prices going high, that calls back to the responsibility, comes back to the Disney team to ensure that actually these hikes, let me say that these predicted hikes by the analysts, they really have to be what the output that is being put there. Remember yesterday we had an issue of that was Thunderbird Entertainment, where the shareholders actually wanted to change the staff of Thunderbird Entertainment. Of course, they are saying that the output which is being put out there is not equivalent to the stock prices, so they value the quality. So this really comes to that. Despite that, Bob Iger is back, of course, into the in control of this company. That means that they need really to work to prove the worth of the stocks, because remember, the investors are investing to get back the profits. So that means if you're backing the content, it should be worth that output that is really coming out of that. Remember, Disney, before that, Disney had embarked on streaming. That was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember, cinemas were closed, and the theoretical window was actually, those days it used to be 90 days that the movie should first go 90 days. That's theoretical. They call it theater? Yes. Okay, that's the day, that's how they pronounce it. That was 90 days before it goes actually to be streamed and also to be put on Blu-ray discs. But after the COVID-19 pandemic, it seemed like the movies being played out in theaters. Now the 90 days reduced to about, I think they couldn't go beyond 20 days. And actually, some companies would go straight to streaming. But then, streaming had unrealistic instances. And The former CEO had much embarked on streaming, and of course, depending on the current conditions, majority of the people pirate these movies, so nobody really is willing to pay $1 to go and stream a movie. So because of that, it was unrealistic, and Disney. Actually, that explains why the Disney stocks were actually going down. You know, unrealistic, of course. You know, unrealistic goals, saying that they want to stream these movies, and yet now the theaters are open. So now they believe that theatrical window is much more reliable and much more real as compared to actually them saying that they want these movies to be only streamed. So it's like when the movies go theatrical, they actually making much more money than that. So these are some of the embarkments that we anticipate that Bob Iger will actually revive back, that the movies that are released by Disney, like, okay, of course the streaming will still be there on Disney Plus. Yes, you will still stream these movies, but then the real thing, the real factor is that the movies should go theatrical, whereby people actually go to the cinemas and buy these movies. So those are some of the strategies that we anticipate when Bob Iger comes back, and of course following the Disney stock. Because remember, the bigger picture here, what's really making really the big headlines is that the Disney stock is rising, and what is causing to the rise? The return of Bob Iger. And of course, what is Bob Iger going to do? They're going to change new strategies of actually earning income for the company. Okay, now the Moffett Nelson, that's the analyst, of course, added that he believed that the broader shift of Disney Plus from Disney themed family and of course branded content into general entertainment, that's entertainment fair, was a poor decision that would hurt the return. That's on investment. Exactly what I've been trying to explain, something in line with that. And of course, still just as I wind up this, because we are running out of time actually. The analyst also outlined the possible changes, and of course under Iger, that's Bob Iger. That's Bob Iger's regime. He says that they hope and expect that Mr. Iger examines the investment plans, that's of Disney Plus, and refocuses on their investment on areas of franchise strength, and of course, and away from broader general entertainment content, and of course, that's according to the analyst anticipation. So, despite the fact that the analysts are raising up the stocks, just like I said, they expect Bob Iger to take steps to ensure that actually these values are worth the output that is being put out there. All right, we come to the end of the entertainment news this morning as we look at Kenyan artists calling for a regulatory body, and of course they want the foreign artists performing in their country to pay, of course, charges for performance. Now this comes along after comedian MC Jesse was pushing government to create a regulatory body to be called the Creative Economy Council, that's of Kenya, urging that foreign artists should pay to perform, that's in Kenya. And of course he says that, actually, did you know that artists in Tanzania pay $100 to the government? Okay, not artists who come to perform in Tanzania pay $100 to the government. Of course, there is a certification you have to get from the Arts Council of Tanzania, and with that way you will be in position to be granted the permission to perform in that country. And of course, he says that all the artists go to Kenya, but they never pay taxes. And of course, they only come to appear on performances, they make money, and of course, after the Kenya Revenue Authority, that's the managers paying money. That's to the Kenya Revenue Authority. The artist just comes away and walks away with quite a huge bunch of money. So that is something that the artists are really calling upon to form a regulatory body to stop that. Now, it's very interesting that actually some of the artists come to, when they go to Kenya, for example, the most artists that are really doing this are Jamaican artists, the Nigerian artists. This is according to MC Jesse, he's a Kenyan comedian, and of course, after trying to run for in the parliament, and things didn't really go well that way, maybe. Anyway, I don't know why he's coming up with these particular aspects. But then it's been discovered that actually artists go to perform in Kenya, that's coming from Nigeria, with tourist visas, and they don't really talk about exactly what they're going to do in this country. Yet it's not the case in other nations. So they feel like there is massive exploitation regarding that. Like I told you, in Tanzania, an artist pays $100 to perform, to obtain that ticket from the Arts Council, to ensure that you actually, the nation gains from you, because they walk away with huge sums of money. That's according to that. So that's what's regarding that. So we don't know what's really transpiring, how far regarding this argument. Moving on to the foreign artists that go to Kenya to perform, and they realize that they actually exploit. That's according to what NCDC says, that there is massive exploitation. That's from the crowds, but the nation doesn't benefit from them as much as that. So he's calling for the Kenyan government to really take heed and try to, investigate this matter and see what's really taking place. Now, still looking into that, he went and said that an artist will come and collect his performance fee. That's in a whole, then after leave. And also says that they should make it difficult for them to perform in their country. And of course, the booker went to give an example. That was a 2016 incident when one of the top Kenyan DJs at the time, that was DJ Cream de la Cream, was denied the entry into the United States. And of course, his real name actually was George Njuna, arrived at the Dallas Fort Worth International Airport, but was denied entry by the immigration officers who sought to know the nature of his trip to Dallas. So, how come in other countries they actually, regardless of an artist, if you enter there, no one really wants to know. They will ask you, what's the nature of your trip? What do you want to do in this country? Are you coming to perform? Are you coming to do this? And definitely, when you tell them your actual intention, there are procedures, and actually they come with certain fees that you should pay to perform into that particular country. And of course, in Kenya, that seems not to be much more given attention, and it's bothering the local artists in there. All right, it's exactly 46 minutes past the hour, Veta M, and of course, we've come to the end of the entertainment news. And Joram Soko is just right here, of course, to drag you through SMB. Yes, Joram.
Andrew, I still feel I need more on that issue to do with the Kenyan celebrities.
Yeah.
What is the take? I don't know. In the side of Uganda, that has caught my attention so highly. When you talk about celebrities, get us back on track with that report again.
Well, the issue is that these artists, it's been noted that actually some come to Kenya to perform on tourist visas. They say that they're tourists.
Yeah, they've gone to perform, to make money.
But then, in Tanzania, it's not that way. You have to actually get a certain license from the Arts Association.
Okay.
The Performing Arts Association of Tanzania gives you a license, a certificate will allow you to perform, and there is a fee that comes to that certificate. So, in that way, the country, yes, you paid your money, you paid the taxes, but again, still the country has benefited.
Okay, I don't know. Does it happen the same way in Uganda? Just recently, when Biniman came in the country, he came in on Tuesday. He came in on a Tuesday, and most people are actually asking. He was performing on Friday. What was he coming to do? Was he coming to?
He would have been jet lagged before, and he had to first relax until the
He had to feel the heat.
Probably was had to get the vibe of the country.
Okay.
I mean, some of them are new artists, and they before you perform in the country, you really want to feel the environment. You need to understand the people.
Okay, but I think anyone who doesn't want to have his money taxed, you will definitely apply for a tourist visa.
That's right.
Only to be found on the stage.
Performing, yes. And I think it should actually, it should be implemented, in my own opinion, because you're coming as a performer.
And then you have a tourist visa.
I mean, you're coming as a tourist, and then you have
And then you're going to perform. You're making money in someone's country.
You're making money in someone's
Yes,
country.
it should actually be
Exactly. It's not
implemented.
right. Because how come that in other countries they actually, for example, we saw a scenario the DJ was denied entry to the United States.
You
And
say
the authorities were
depends.
asking, they were asking, what are you coming to do here? They had to know the nature of this visit to that country.
Well, I still feel Ugandan celebrities as well here always complain that the government is doing less for them. Because they're paying taxes and they need. I think they should be also attached to this. We've seen most of them leaving this country, heading to, let's say, the UAE to perform, having tourist visas or so, and then you find them performing on stage.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Well, you could also blame that on management.
Their management.
Yes, even NASA's Ugandans, it should be blamed on our management.
Wow.
We need serious regulatory authorities on that matter.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew,
Welcome.
for that update in here on Smart Mains Business. That has been Barija Andrew giving you details regarding what is making headlines from the world of entertainment. Well, before we head into a break, brief one, let's head into sport. sports business to give you more of what is making headlines from there as well. Now, from the world of sports, something to do with the University Football League, which is set to reward the decade's cream de la cream. So, as the League Awards of the decade will be held on 12th December, and that is in Kampala, and they're mainly going to be recognizing and rewarding university students who have excelled in football, and as a way of at least appreciating. Now, this act not only motivates, captivates and encourages the recipient, but also sets the trend for even higher aspirations in life. It is upon this rich background that the organizers of the Pepsi University Football League have decided to handsomely pay back their own products who have excelled in the 10-year span. I think it's more of awarding people upon winning. You know, upon that, I just can't imagine earning from a talent. Maybe if I've been successful.
Well, do you know that the best, or some of the groups that earn the highest amount of money earn from their talents?
Yes.
Look at the footballers.
The footballers are
It's
really
talent. Yes, they put in the work to train and everything, but it's talent. So that's why I would say you can actually earn from your talent.
Well, Andrew, you're going to take something from that regarding the awarding of students here at the university, because as we look at the situations, I believe from the side of entertainment is where we speak of a lot of awards and a lot of money. What would be your take on such a situation?
I think it's really something to motivate the people, the students that are being awarded, to really take an initiative and take it to a higher level. This is just the beginning. I believe in talent, you know.
Okay.
Talent, honestly, I'll be honest with you. You know, if you are to look at the people that decided to take their careers, their talents to really, you know, you wake up and decide that this is where I'm going to earn my life. This is my life.
Yes, very true. I don't want to tell people I meet out there who ask me about you that you are a seasoned rapper. I don't know whether you put the mic down for a moment.
No, actually, I'm going to return back to the mic. That's my life. I can't stop rap.
And the awards will definitely keep on coming. And the awarding of the university students will be coming in the month of December as a way of appreciating the talent that is being produced from the university league in that way. Well, besides that, just a quick one, as we head into more from the world of sports business, is let's look at the money behind the most expensive World Cup in history. Qatar 2022 by the numbers. Well, the World Cup did start on Sunday, and yesterday Chantal was taking us through how Ecuador apparently won Qatar, the host nation, and then yesterday there were some matches in there. There's also one which included England thumping Iran by 6-2, and of course some of the key highlights of the World Cup. Before the World Cup did start, there was a very huge debate of human rights, and this is into the World Cup. So I will be bringing in Andrew into this one. I don't know how much he has to discuss on the football matters, but I do believe when it comes to the monetary terms, he will be good on that.
Joe, I'll ask you something. Do you realize that we don't really have the World Cup hype like back in the days? I'm really thinking,
No, I think
how the people are turning up for these matches?
I think the only challenge was in the first place, very few people wanted the World Cup in Qatar.
Yes,
Sure.
because of the restrictions and all. So
Yes.
you can't expect as much hype.
Yeah.
Because you can ideally realize that one of the key sponsors of the World Cup is Budweiser.
Yes.
Now, they do not accept anyone to take any sort of beer or alcohol in the stadium, and surprisingly, his logo is all over the pitch. So those are bigger questions. Even the Player of the Match award has Budweiser written all over it. So there is a lot of twist in that particular World Cup. But when you look at Qatar's Minister of Finance, did say that the country was spending $500 million per week. That was in 2017, per week, in infrastructure projects, including roads, hotels, and I think we are all seeing the kind of stadiums that Qatar has.
Yes. Have you seen the dormitories? I would call them dormitories.
Yes, I'm just looking
The
at
villages
like,
actually,
yes,
call them
for the
villages.
funds.
Yes, for the funds.
I'm looking at a very huge investment in there. I think there is a lot of Arab money being splashed in Qatar. Someone did say, let me actually bring Andrew in here, that if we got a chance to watch the behind the scenes of the Qatarians as they were coming in on day one, they had a lot of Porsche cars in there, Lamborghinis, Bugattis. Those are the vehicles people were parking outside the stadium.
It's not really a surprise, because we know that that's a place, that region, the United Arab Emirates, we know actually for sure that it harbors the world's greatest billionaires. And I'm talking about underground billionaires. Live along the main street that we actually know all around. I mean, people have, so that's not really news to me. I mean, people parking Lambos, and I'm expecting, and actually, I expect they have one of the best stadiums.
Yeah, they have 8 good stadiums, and of which they are going to dismantle some of them after the World Cup, because they really don't have that much of the space to have that
football is not much of that.
They also have a container stadium that was built out of containers, and they will donate that particular stadium to any developing country. I don't know whether Uganda applied for that one. And I don't know whether Egypt will reach here. But if you look at the money spent to organize the World Cup, it is close to 220 billion US dollars in a dozen years. And when you look at that, that is one of the largest investments for a World Cup ever in history. That is more than 15 times that was spent on Russia in 2018. So that clearly shows you how expensive this World Cup is, besides the technology, besides the hotels that have been constructed, the stadiums, but also preparations. And surprisingly, Qatar Airways is actually making more money, because over the weekend, in just a single day, Qatar Airways made over 400 ticket sales of people coming into the country. Now that clearly shows you how much the country is earning from this particular event.
And Joram, you can't realize actually that the last 5 World Cups, or can I say the last 4 World Cups, have been held by the BRIC nations. I mean, I'm talking about Brazil, Russia, and we are talking now, actually China was actually in the talks of hosting the World Cup. I don't know how really far that went. South Africa, being among the countries, and we really see, me in my perspective, I see a shift in economic powerhouses, because World Cup is one of the ways where nations raise billions and billions of money. So I really anticipate that. Time to come, we might actually see a shift of the financial superpowers, but the World Cup could be one of the contributing factors.
And as we are winding up this particular sports business, something very interesting for the people who are actually interested in betting. In the United States, if you stake $100 for the United States to win the World Cup, you walk away with $13,000 US dollars.
Whether it wins or not.
If it wins the World Cup. I don't know whether it will win, because my chances are it cannot win. And there is a $42 million prize money for any team that will walk away with the World Cup. So, and then $60 million has been reported as the annual value of Nike's deal to sponsor the French football team. The French football are the defending champions.
Yes, and what do you anticipate this year? France, Brazil?
I am on a two-way thing. Either Brazil or Argentina winning this World Cup.
Argentina.
Yes, and Argentina comes on basically. And I believe they will at least make some surprises over the World Cup. I do believe there will be some surprises. You may see someone winning without us expecting them to win.
There is a possibility. You know, lately you expect almost anything
to happen.
Yes.
And the winner will walk away with $42 million US dollars at the end of the tournament in Qatar. That is it from the sports business and entertainment business. Stick around, Smart Means Business does continue immediately after the break.